caregiver support group held by the Caregiver Foundation, and so pleased today to have Rick Taper as our guest speaker. Rick comes to us with more than 50 years of experience in the mental health profession, and in his retirement, he is very much engaged with nonprofits here in Hawaii. He is the president of Hawaii Meals on Wheels, the president of the Samaritan Counseling Center of Hawaii, and the past president of the Bobby Benson Center. And when I was thinking of a guest speaker to talk about resilience after all that we've been through the past few months here in Hawaii, and as caregivers, I thought of Rick. So thank you, Rick, for being here today.
Well, thanks for thinking of me. All right, so we're going to call today, I got slides in the way here, a wellness checklist, resilience and self-care, best practices and life skill strategies. Like Leanne said, I'm Rick Tabor. I have a Master of Science and in counseling psychology. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm also a certified disability specialist. I've done a lot of work in the field. I started out I was telling folks here, I landed in Hawaii. I joined the Navy to see the Marines and I ended up being a field med corpsman stationed with the Marine Infantry. And after we went overseas, I stumbled into the mental health clinic and ended up being in charge of it. So so 50 years later, I worked at Seattle Mental Health for 30 years. My wife and I met in a group home here in Hawaii. As I was graduating from Chaminade, I took some weekend jobs, worked at Halekipa Hawaii Research Center, and uh, and then we moved to Hawaii, reconnected 13 years later. Now we've been married for 31 years. So we moved back here 10 years ago, and I'm actually in 21 nonprofits, and we won't do all that today. So I've got to move this here. There. So here. So I was at some years ago, I was working on mental health programs for the Betts-Wins here for Hawaii, and ministers would ask me, "What is mental health?" And so a friend and I kind of spent some time, and we wrote out, "Life's journey is not a problem to be solved. Life is a reality of experiences. Good times come and go. Through every step, we become aware of our unique self as we learn to live in the moment while leaning forward, embracing the future." Today's presentation, what I'm going to offer today is some practical strategies that I've developed over the years through experiential moments. So we're going to do things together to learn these strategies. And so the experimental, doing it together, then hopefully will help merge our expectations with strategies that can help us sustain our sense of wellness and peace of mind. So I'm going to add, I've also, not only have I had 50 years in the profession being mental health and working with a whole range of stuff that I won't cover here. We 2 years ago lost my mom to dementia. And I'm very active with the Alzheimer's Association Aloha chapter championing. It was a really rough go for her. She was in North Dakota, but it was a real rough go for the family, most definitely. So what I do say is, although I'm a professional, and then when we moved home to Hawaii, I semi-retired and I was the operation manager for in-home care for about 5 years before COVID. COVID actually sent me to retirement. And I've been a presenter for most of 50 years that I've been in the field. So I love doing presentation and sharing the ideas. What I was going to say though is when it comes to one of our own, even though I'm a profession, life still didn't prepare me for what we went through. I get choked up even just now just saying this. My dad's journey to end of life, he fought tooth and nail because my mother wasn't letting go. This is my thought. So he fought for 9 months and was in and out of comas, and it was just a really, really tough battle. My mom was the sweetest woman in the world, and the dementia turned her into something totally different. It was really, as you know, things really changed quite a bit. So I come at this from a variety of angles. I was with during the pandemic. I spent a little more than a year with Generations Magazine, and I was writing mental health articles. And that's where Gary and Leanne kind of asked me to come and do something. So I did a stress relaxation, progressive relaxation. We're going to do a little bit of that. We don't do it as long as when I presented. And I did something on uh, just change of life stuff. So what I ended up doing is I wrote an article, which was a checklist, a wellness checklist. And everyone said, wow, you should do a presentation with that. And so I have been doing this presentation now for a few years. Brain Matters, I've recently joined them and I've been doing this very presentation I'm going to share with you with them as well. So it's going to be fairly active, but I am going to move fairly fast. I probably spent up too much time here just explaining because I've got a lot to do here. Okay, so basically what we're going to do here today is it's a coping skills presentation. So I just told you what mental health was. Resilience definition, I'm going to give that to you next. And then I'm going to just talk about brain health, and we'll do that a little briefly. Then we're going to do a couple minutes of progressive relaxation just to ground us. And we're going to do the stop sign technique. I'll explain that to you later. We're going to do a little feeling charades. So we're going to play a game of feeling charades. Each of us, we're going to start our happiness jar and then write some positive affirmations. So again, have some paper and some a sticky pad and something to pencil or pen to draw with. And then I've added the 9 coping skills. I'm hoping to do something with that with you all. And then talk briefly about mindfulness, ever so briefly. There's a lot more to it than I have time to do today. And then rational emotive ABCs, we'll do that. And then if we have time, we'll do lots of questions. So I'm just going to fly through everything. And so basically what I'm going to do, the way I've structured this is start with a real basic, simple foundation. And then we're going to get more complex as we go forward. Not too complex, but we're just going to add basically a toolkit of strategies that you could use. What I'll share is there's nothing here I'm going to share that we're not already doing. What I'm doing, though, is just breaking it down, putting it into a format. So when we get stressed, we can remind ourselves of the steps that we could take. So if you're someone that overthinks things, it's going to be way easy for you to overthink this but if you actually take these steps and work with them, you find that it's far more complex than it looks. So I've broken it down in the simplest format. I've used this with folks everywhere from ages 2 to, I think my oldest was 98 that I've used it with. Corporations have taken this and used it. I've done the presentation in a whole lot of different settings. So they can be modified and used for anything, these strategies. The strategies, what I've learned is I learn more from what people do with the strategies than I do from teaching the strategies because we're all going to put our own spin on it. So each strategy is like a pair of shoes. You're going to try them on, you're going to wear them, and you're going to break them in, and they're going to make them yours. There's no right or wrong way to use the strategies. Okay, that's my preface as I go into it. Oh, now I got this in the way. So resilience is what we're here for. So resilience, when I looked it up, AI told me that it's the capacity of a person to maintain their core purpose and integrity in the face of dramatically changing circumstances. So you might ask, what does that mean? It's how you bounce. So some people bounce better than others. So some people need to put more air in their ball, and some need to take a little bit of air out, and some it's just right, and it depends on the circumstances. It's how we get through the bumps in the road. So I'm going to show you a few ideas. So steps towards resiliency. So the first is to accept the current state or the situation. Define it, accept it, realize it is what it is. How many times you hear that? Yeah. Take care of yourself and your relationships. So first, so it's like you're on a plane. If you put the oxygen mask on first, just like they recommend, and then you look around and see who needs help. To take care of yourself and then the relationships. Recognize your strengths. Each of us have our strengths. Get to know those. Each of us have our areas of concern. And if you're with other people, so I'm in 21 nonprofits, and part of that's because I don't like to do things alone. I really enjoy having a team of folks, and I really enjoy getting to know what people's strengths are and what I can add to a team. So find out what your strengths are and build on that for resiliency. Set reasonable limits and healthy boundaries. So throughout today, that's kind of what we're going to be doing is finding ways to set reasonable limits. Healthy boundaries, you're on your own. You got but you'll know if you're getting into something that's not working, and most of us do, and then how to work within that. As a caregiver, that's a tricky one. So I will say, and I'm sure you have had this here many times, ask for help. So the more help you have, the better, more resiliency you're going to have. So find your sense of humor. So throughout this, like I have all kinds of little humorous jokes here. I just found this one with the snails and Noah. I thought I was using this joke a lot during when it was raining because we did have some flooding stuff going on. I said I'm gonna build an ark, but this time I'm gonna make sure I love the unicorns when we're leaving. Okay, so find a sense of humor. Forgive yourself and others. Let it go. Forgiveness is huge. So I was on the board for Hompa Hongwanji Hawaii for many years, and I got to say the one thing that I really came out of with all the things that we were doing, I chaired the last two bond dances there. That's the one on the poly, very active. All the things I learned is flexibility and forgiveness and to have fun. Okay, and find meaning. So the stuff that you're doing, you want to try to find meaning. I'll talk about that later as we go on. So basically, real quick on that, you want to be able to wrap your head around the stuff that you're doing and do things that you want to do, not have to do. If you feel you have to do it, there's going to be repercussions. It's hard to be resilient if you're doing because you're going to have resentment. So I know there's many things in life that we have to do that just have to. But unless you find a way to do it because you want to do it, it's going to be hard. So as a clinician, I'll share an example. When managed care came, the paperwork was humongous. And everybody was like, I didn't become a counselor to be doing paperwork. Well, guess what? Unless you find a way to appreciate the paperwork and make it work for you, it's going to be burdensome. So write it in a way that it actually is useful. Okay. This is kind of how we looked at stuff. Okay, so if a potato could become vodka, you can become anything you want to be. Okay. Oops, let's go ahead here. All right. So the day I personally learned to let go of expectations, I discovered a whole new world and a whole new level of humor. So expectations will trip us up all the time. Let it be your motivator, but don't let it trip you up. So I chair RILA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards for Oahu. I've been doing that for 9 years. Keep trying to find someone to take it, and I end up still doing it. So I always start with our team, who we've all been together now for 9 or 10 years. I always start with um, remember flexibility. Things are going to happen. So make it fun. As long as it's safe, we're okay. And that's where the humor comes in, but that's also how we structure. We're up at Camp Erdman, which just had over $1 million of damage during the storms. Our Rotary's going up to fix, to try to help do what we can do within all of that. The expectations are not great because it's going to be a lot of work, right? But we're going to do what we can. So you have to set realistic expectations. That's part of resiliency. All right, here we go. So I just joined Brain Health with Amy Kelly and have started doing these very presentations with her. Um, and so for brain health, very important to boost our brain health, you should eat healthy, get holistic care, limit your alcohol. Today, we're going to focus on maintaining positive mental health. Socialize. Do not isolate. Socialize is like the key to success, to staying grounded. Challenge mind. The more you learn new things, the better you do in life. If you do the same old every single day, your brain starts will start to shut down. It'll atrophy. You can grow new cells to the end of life by just doing new things. So find new things to do. It also is good for your mental health. Get good sleep. So they say on the average, you should have at least 7 hours of sleep a night. If you're having sleep issues, kind of cool. I just did it. You can do sleep study at home. I ended up buying a wedge. I sleep much better now. I passed my sleep study. I'm pretty happy about that. Um, so, and if there is sleep issues, then just follow, of course, what the doctor recommends. Couple things that Amy will share in Brain Matters when she's doing brain health work. I just did the sleep one with her. If you're napping, everybody in Hawaii take nap. Yeah, 1 o'clock after lunch, everybody wants to take a nap. Don't nap for more than 15 minutes. If you're napping for more than 15 minutes, it's going to mess up your sleep. The other is stay on schedule. Just because it's the weekend, don't stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning. If you're still working and you got to get up at 6 in the morning, you should make sure you stay on the same schedule. One thing I learned years ago that's made a big difference for us here is not to eat any more than 6 hours. Eat at least 6 hours before you go to bed. Give your body time to digest. Very important. Okay. Incorporate physical activity, huge. So walk at least 30 minutes a day, and you can break it up. You don't have to do it all at the same time. So what we did is we were just talking about this morning. Our dog goes for about 6 walks a day. I do three, my wife does three. The happiest dog in the world, I tell you what. So she starts doing her doggy stretch in front of us, when she wants to go. If I fall asleep in my chair, just last night she did this. She knocked my hand off the chair and started doing the stretch. Okay, walk time. So off we went. Okay. So that's brain health. So there's actually research and science behind all of this. But again, so we're going to focus on the mental health. What does your brain need to think clearly? And I have all the answers here, but it's oxygen. And what happens with your breathing if you get upset, you get scared, you get emotional? Shortness, right? So you move into the flight or fright because that's to react, right? But to actually think through the problem, you have to slow your breathing, take a break, and think it through. Okay, so your body calms down so you can think more clearly. So, to that, what we're going to do is just a couple minutes on progressive relaxation. So, if everybody could kind of just get comfortable, and I'm going to walk you through a progressive relaxation exercise just for a couple of minutes. And in this progressive relaxation exercise, we're going to close our eyes. And if you can, if you breathe in through your nose, if it's comfortable, through your mouth. And we're just going to slow our breathing. And then we're also going to then from breathing, we're going to move to muscle relaxation, but we're just going to make fists and release our tension from there. And then we'll wrap up with imagery. So get comfortable, close your eyes. Let your mind go blank as you breathe in and out. And as you're breathing in and out, we'll slow our breathing to a comfortable level that relaxes us as we breathe in and out. Just concentrate on our breathing as we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Feel your body unwind as you're breathing in and out. And then while you're breathing in, take your fists and make a fist with both hands and squeeze them tighter and tighter. And then when you're ready, exhale and open your fists and imagine your stress leaving as you're breathing in and out. Shake your hands out and let all the stress go. as you breathe in and out. Now, as you're breathing in and out, imagine yourself in a relaxing place as you breathe in and out. See yourself in that relaxing place as you breathe in and out. Be in a relaxing place, hear the sounds, see what's around you, experience relaxation as you breathe in and out. Continue breathing in and out. Experiencing a relaxing place. And then as you breathe in and out, say to yourself, I feel relaxed and ready to continue my day. And slowly open your eyes and smile. Okay, how was that? You can just thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. So I have a recorded, and Leanne, I think I shared it with you guys before, relaxation exercise that runs about 13 minutes. What research has showed is if we do 15 minutes of this relaxation in a day, it will ground and center us. So I first put this together for someone that had cerebral palsy, a young man that was a senior who wasn't able to go to school. He was having like 40 some seizures a day. And his mother noticed when I was talking that I kind of calmed him and he'd actually go a day or two without a seizure. So she actually asked me if I would do this. So I made this relaxation tape. In 1992 is when it was. And actually, it was even earlier than that. It was, uh, and I've been doing it in these settings quite a bit. I've used it a number of ways. So the muscle relaxation, I actually start with the feet. I go through the chakras, go through the feet, the calf, the thigh, the buttocks, the stomach, and all the way to the head. And we do all of that. And then we do the imagery. In the imagery, there's a lot of stuff you can do. So you can go to your relaxing place, but you could also, and I've used this a lot in counseling, work things through. So I had a young man that was a little bit on the spectrum, which is autistic, and was terrified to fly, but he wanted to go with senior class. They're actually coming from Seattle to Maui, and he really wanted to go. So he actually did about 6 months' work, and I had him do imagery, and he imagined himself packing his suitcase. He imagined himself going to the airport with his parents. He imagined himself boarding a plane. So we took one step at a time. So basically, we did that through imagery. We got to the point that he did do the trip and he had a grand time. So it was pretty cool. There's a lot you can do. You can also use it for trauma focused stuff. So you basically can be the author of your story. All right. Now with your paper, draw the stop sign octagon. Don't put the word in just yet. Just draw the octagon. So like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, let go of expectations. I finally found a way to Google this because I could not get mine to look okay. So I ended up cheating. I taught myself something last night. So in that stop sign octagon, I want to write. I wonder how I did this now. Write the word stop top to bottom. So you're going to go vertical instead of horizontal. Each letter stands for something that when you're stressed, that you automatically do, but this will, again, spell out what you need to do. So STOP like that. Okay. So once you have that, what do you think the first thing when you're feeling upset you need to do? And the word is right here. Stop. Okay. So the first thing we do is we stop. I invented this, by the way. Once we stop, what do you think you should do? Oh, I think I gave it away. You're stopping and you're thinking. And the next, a little harder. What do you think you're thinking about that starts with an O? Option. So you're going to think of some options. And from those options, you're going to pick one, and that's going to be your plan. Okay. So I came up with this. I had gone through de-escalation training in Minneapolis in a group home working with developmentally disabled, 108 women. I went from the Marine Infantry male to 108 developmentally disabled women, and they were teaching this strategy for de-escalation. And afterward, I took 8 of my ladies in a station wagon. Remember station wagon? We jumped in the car to go do banking. It was a Friday, so they were getting money for the weekend. And we'd take like 3 trips to the bank. A whole bunch of independent living skills. We're teaching these development. We were teaching them how to live, eventually get to supported living situation. I forgot my bank book, so I had to pull into my apartment. I come out of my apartment, jump in the station wagon with him, start to go, and a lady started having a grand mal seizure in the back seat. And so I tried to deal with that and make sure she was safe, make sure everybody was calm. And then I drove off. Well, when I drove off, a motorcycle cop came out from behind the trees and said I went through the stop sign. And I was starting to feel frustrated, and I was trying to remember they had taught the SOTA technique, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember what that acronym stood for. But I looked at the stop sign, and I suddenly realized stop, think, options, plan. That's it. And I've been using it ever since. I've been using this for about 40 years. Most of the schools in King County have this up in their classrooms. Um, and so that's what we do. And so with the options, this is also, I developed this that we use in all the schools. Down at number 3 on how to solve your problem, for your options, ask, is it safe? How might people feel? Is it fair? And will it work? And that's how you choose your option. So you choose it and you use it, and then you find out if it's working. We're going to do that a couple times today. If not, obviously you go back and take a look at some other options and see if that'll work. So that's what we do. So I'm in Rotary, and basically those questions, those are our 4-way tests also. It's kind of interesting. So I've been using it for years. So we teach this to kids. So that's the stop sign technique. So deal with your feelings by expressing them safely. That's me in New York the day before the Seahawks won the Super Bowl 48, and we're going to the game. We're actually on our way to pick up our tickets. It was really quite a treat. So I've been a season ticket holder since 1999. I won't spend too much time on that, but I have Seahawks stuff everywhere. We got to deal with our feelings, and to do that, we do need to stop. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to play a feeling charade game. And this is why Leanne asked if we were in person, because we draw. So I have a bag here, and I'm going to draw a feeling, and I'm going to act it out. And if you could just you could unmute for this. I'm going to do an easy one. Not in person here. All right. All right. So I'm acting it out now.
Oh, but Rick, we don't see you. We just see the feeling charade.
Oh no. Okay. You don't see me. Okay. Well, that's not going to work then. Well, okay. So I'm just going to explain it then. We're not going to be able to do it then. Because I don't want to lose my PowerPoint. So what I've done is I've taken these feeling charts and we've cut them up and we put them in a hat or in a bag and we draw it and we act it out. So the one that I had that I was acting out was anxious. And so with that, what we want to do is to put it in an I feel sentence. I feel anxious when uh, when time is running out and I have so much stuff to cover. So it's important. Why do that? It's important to own our feelings rather than displace or project them. So y'all probably are parents. So if your adolescent child, daughter comes walking in at 2 o'clock in the morning and you go, "Oh my God, where have you been? I've been worried sick." What's she gonna do? She's gonna get really defensive. If instead I say, "I was feeling really worried because I didn't know where you were. So when you're out late like that, it makes me worry. What's happening?" That's a door opener. Okay. So we stop and think about options, but then we also deal with our feeling. And if we're problem solving, we express it in a way that it's a door opener. It doesn't put people on the defensive. Um, it's an art form to learn to do that. It takes practice. So two things. One, Mitzi Simonelli at Chaminade in Psych 101 gave an assignment to write down all the feelings we could think of and attach some experience with them. I had three. I was male and raised and socialized as a male. I'm with the Marine Infantry. So, you're right. So I had happy, angry, sad, right? That's pretty much what I had. So by practicing the feelings and getting familiar with the feelings and getting in touch with your feelings, you'll expand that vocabulary and that'll tie into how you feel and when in a way that you can talk about it with folks. Okay. So that's that one. Okay. On your paper, I'd like you to write down a list. We're only going to take like 2 minutes, and you can continue this later. But write a list of places or activities, a list of activities that makes you happy. And we'll just take 2 minutes and then I'll share what we're going to do with that. Well, I used to do this exercise in fairly large groups, and they'd have dry erase. And so one day we wrote them all out. That's what we came up with. Um, oops, I gotta go back. Sorry. So I had clients that were on the, so again, I'm disability specialist. So I had clients that were on the spectrum and they would come to me and say, you know, I don't get jokes. I laugh at the wrong time. Can you help me with that? So we started doing corny jokes. So this young man came up down here on the bottom in the center. What do you call a boy named Lee that no one wants to talk to? Lonely. These are his jokes. What did the one toilet say to the other? You look flushed. So I took a crack at one. Then I wrote, what did the stamp say to the envelope? Stick with me. We'll go places. We used to do this every session. We just challenge each other to see what we could come up with. Um, so what we want to do here is, so I have a whole bunch of ideas here. And Leanne, I'll send you the slideshow if you have a Google Doc. What we want to do with this, though, is write as many as you can think of and cut your happy list up and place it in a jar. And when you're feeling bored or down or need something to do, draw one and do it. It's all this trick in the book, right? But really, it helps. And especially if you're with someone, maybe the person you're caregiving, you draw one and then you do it. Maybe you draw one that's, do a hair, or maybe you draw one and go for a walk. So it's just a prompt of things to do. Because when we're actually, the more depressed or the more anxious we get, the less likely it is that we're going to think of something to do. So that's why you have the happy jar. Then you draw. What I say is put the list back in because you could draw it many times over and keep adding the jar. And obviously, again, with expectations, if I draw one that says go for a walk and we got flood conditions and it's down 4 inches of rain in an hour, my dog doesn't even want to go for that walk. So we'll just draw something else. Okay. So doing things is good for your mental health. So having great little activities that you can do will make it a great day. All right. Next section. So one who understands that life is not about winning can never be defeated. I just put that in there. So it's not a competition. Positive affirmations. So on your stick, if you have a sticky pad, and if you don't, you can just do it on your paper. Positive affirmations, what we tell ourselves is who we become. Write down one positive affirmation. And then what I say is someplace where you sit. So sometimes bathroom mirror, sometimes on my desk here where my computer is. I have them all over the place. I actually go a step further and a few times a day and just keep adding positive affirmations. I actually have a folder on my phone with inspirations. And so looking at the positive side is always helpful. So you can always reframe to something positive. So some of my positive affirmations, I'm into photography. So this is in Japan. Don't look back. You're not going that way. This is my wife. We're at Kyoto on the Philosopher's Trail. So I did, and so I have slideshows, inspirational slideshows. I used to run them on the computer. You had to have a screensaver. You'd run stuff. So I run it on my computer. And one day I was working with somebody that had traumatic brain injury, and his son and his brother. And the guy is seeing the slideshows and seeing my wife pop up. And at one point, he's, "Is that your wife?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "How did you get her?" So I told him, "I used to be much better looking." Live life free of fear. Uh, okay, this one's a doozy here. So the next one, okay, you got your positive affirmation. Now we're going to move into, sorry, but uh, we would spend a lot more time with this if we had more time. This is usually like a 90-minute presentation. Meals on Wheels, I turned it into a 4-hour presentation because we were teaching a brand new crew social work stuff. 9 coping skills. So this is the game that I invented. And this actually ended up being researched. And these are the basic 9 coping skills that I live my life by. I really do. My wife does as well. So deal with your feelings. I'm not going to read it all the way out. I'll send the slides, but we're going to go through these real quick. And then I'm going to give you an example and guess which one it is. So deal with your feelings. Adjust your attitude. Discover your choices. Accept imperfection. Again, that fits in with the expectations too, yeah. Give yourself a break. Take things one step at a time. Treat yourself kindly. Plan ahead. And the granddaddy of them all, ask for help. I have found in life that the ask for help part is the biggest one. In mental health, by the time somebody has asked for mental health support, they have gone through a lot. The other one that trips folks up is accept imperfection, because we're programmed to try to be perfect. Nothing wrong with that, but accept that it's going to take a while. So, like on the computer, if you have a new program that comes on, you have to learn how to do it. It takes a while the first time. A year later, you've been using it for a while, and you're like, God, I can't believe the first time how long it took. Accept imperfection. It takes a while to learn. Okay, the game I play with is we take a scenario and we go through the scenario and then talk about which coping skills were used or which ones we'd like to use. So when you think of a situation, instead of putting yourself down about the outcome, so at the end of the day when you're looking in the mirror getting ready to go to bed, that's where you practice forgiveness. Okay, today was a tough day. Gonna make tomorrow better. What did I learn today that I could do tomorrow? You know what? I'm gonna cook the rice before I start cooking. So it's ready when I'm done cooking, right? Just simple kinds of things. All right. So the situation. Um, so I had some real hard caregiver situations, and my wife said, "You really want to do that? I mean, maybe you should do something lighter." So I'm going for something lighter this time around. So I was walking Nohalani. This actually happened on a beautiful paradise day. It was one of my first walks with her, and a mongoose ran right past us. Nohalani's, that's my dog. Nohalani's tail went boing, and off she went to the races. Took off running. I yelled, "Stop!" And I started after her. But I thought, wait a minute. And I reached in my pocket, pulled out a Nub's dog treat. Nohalani came to a screeching halt and came running back for her treat. What coping skills did I use? And there I am with my doggy Nohalani. Um, so you can unmute. What coping skills did I use? Should I go back to the coping skills? Maybe, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, yes, please. Back one slide.
Here we go. Okay. So I'm walking and she takes off running. She actually broke her leash. I learned that I have to put the leash on a different way with her. She has such a strong pull that if I put it on, the clasp hits it, she can actually get loose, which is what she did. So I have to make sure I do it the opposite way. So I learned. But I had put a nubs in my pocket thinking that it might come in handy. Um, all right. So she takes off. So what's happening with my emotions? Oh my God. Right. So the first thing I got to do is to deal with my feeling.
Hmm.
Right. And I do have to adjust my attitude because I got to move from panic to calm. Or what I'm going to do is upset her even more. And she was only like 6 months old. This is like one of our first outings. Right. So she's all new to this and I'm new to her. Right. And so, of course, neither of us are perfect. Um, so I did plan, I put in the nut in my pocket. And I discovered my choices. If I chased after her, was I going to catch her? No, she's probably going to run in the road. It's going to be, there's all kinds of bad things that could happen. She's not going to catch the mongoose. So that's pretty much done. So because I did plan ahead and I pulled out the nub, she did come back and we averted any more problem. Right. Okay. So that's the 9 coping skills. So using them, is real helpful. So here's the thing. It's really hard to use these when you are in a crisis situation. It's best to practice it as time goes on and just go through this. So Leanne, like I said, I'll send you the PowerPoint. You can send this out. You're welcome to take pictures of the page too, if you want. Um, okay. Um, and I also can send this separate too, Leanne. It's just a sheet that people can use. And then you can modify the wording to whatever fits for you. This is through the years. This is what a team of us have come up with and used. So I would do this game quite often. So again, I have like the feeling charades. I have a whole bunch of situations for a whole bunch of different audiences. We draw out and we act it out. And then what we do at the end of talking about the situation, what coping skills they use, then we ask the question, when did something like this happen to you? What coping skills did you use? Okay. All right. So that's that. And we'll just do this. To the next one. All right. So there we are again. Life is 10% what happens, 90% how we respond. That's me during the pandemic. And when I first did this, there's another doggy behind Nohalani, but I decided she had to be in there because the story was about her. Um, yeah. So how we respond is everything. Finding a positive way or learning from the lesson that's happening. And then you have 3 choices is the way I look at it. So this is me with Blue Thunder. They're the line for the Seahawks. They came to one of my dances with developmentally disabled, mentally ill clients. And then when I was that picture after I was holding up the louder sign and on Broadway, I was up on the scaffolding taking pictures of all the Times Square. Someone yells Rick, and I turned around and it's that guy standing right behind me. I ended up drumming with the Blue Thunder the day before the Seahawks Super Bowl game. Oh, it was just chicken skin. So you have three choices in life: give up, give in, or give it all you got. Anybody who knows me knows I'm 100% all the time. Give it all you got. I might give up for a little bit, but I'm going to rally. So I'm usually I might get to, oh my God, that didn't work so well. And once I take a break and think about it, I'm going to find a way to go forward. What do I need to do? Okay. So I'm sure you all know mindfulness. Mindfulness is being very present in the moment. So whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Good song. Um, So mindfulness broken down is emotional regulation, so being able to self-regulate, stress management, which we're doing, talking about today, personal growth, always learning, always growing, wellness, which we're also kind of covering today. Um, so there's a lot that goes with this, emotional intelligence, all that kind of stuff. So, when you read a book, you read a line in a book and it's so well written, you just close the book and you stare at the wall and think about it for a minute. That's a mindfulness moment. Allow yourself to have those moments. So again, with the, not to be religious, but with the whole Honganji thing, Nimbutsu, I'm kind of famous for those over there. So I have pictures. The opening picture is actually Camp Erdman. I put the positive sign. I actually won a Nimbutsu award for that picture. Um, because those are, to me, that's everything. So what our puppy does, took her out walking, is she loves to smell flowers. And so she'll draw us in. It's like, wow, that is a beautiful flower. So I have a lot of pictures of her sniffing flowers because that's just who she is, right? Just appreciating, those moments. We're very in Hawaii. We're surrounded by it. So if things get so stressful that it's hard to manage, I always say go watch a sunset or a sunrise. I'll get up early and I'll just take Noholani with me and we'll watch a sunrise. And oh, that just centers me. Um, okay, so that's mindfulness. So I always say, um, be mindful, not mindful. Learn to be present and enjoy the moment. So silence the noise, step out of the clutter, and just take a moment to be mindful. Even if it's like, that first cup of coffee in the morning, that first sip, for me, that's a mindful moment. It's like, wow, that is really good. Um, you can do that with almost anything. Appreciate those moments. You don't have to have many, many hours to settle the mind. Same. I'm going to go all the way back to the progressive meditation. If you can, maybe you're real busy. If you can just breathe while you're in the traffic or while you're waiting for someone to use the bathroom, just take some deep breaths to calm yourself. If you can, there's times where you could close your eyes and just imagine a relaxing place, just ever so briefly. Those are huge. So, story, we were stuck in traffic when we first moved back here 10 years ago. And there were like four people in the car, and the air conditioning just was not working. And it was a really hot day. It was one of those 90 degrees plus days. And so we had our windows down and we're stuck in traffic and everyone's getting kind of stressed out. I look out the window and I see a butterfly. You know what? That butterfly actually flew into the car and it went to every single person. And then it went out the window and the traffic started moving. That's one of my Nimbutsu moment mindfulness experiences. If you leave the door open to experience those things, you will. If you're so stressed that you can't find those moments, then everything I've just shared with you is really important, especially the relaxation piece and asking for some help so you can find those moments because there's not much to those moments, but there's everything to them. when you find them. Okay, little story here. Oops, I'm sorry. I clicked on it and I didn't want to. Last feud. Okay, on a beautiful day, the place where the palm trees sway, a sensei brought balloons to a school. One balloon was given to each student who was asked to inflate it, write their name on it, and toss it in the hallway. The professors then mix all the balloons up, and the students were given 12 minutes to find their own balloon. Despite all the hectic search, no one found their balloons, and miraculously, no balloons popped. At that point, the professor told the students to lean down, pick up the balloon in front of you, and hand that to the person whose name is written on it. In less than 12 minutes, everyone had their own balloon. The professor said to the students, "These balloons represent happiness. We will never find happiness if everyone is looking for their own. But if we take time to care about other people's happiness, we'll find ours too." That's empathy and giving. So I retired, like I told Leanne, and I rewired. I'm in 21 nonprofits because I found in life giving is everything. Giving just keeps me sane. Um, what you're doing as caregivers is giving. As hard of work as that is, um, it's unbelievable. Actually, I'm going to save my story because it's coming up here. Uh, so the next one I put in here is rational behavioral therapy. So it used to be RET. Albert Ellis came up with this. He actually came, I went to grad school at University of Oregon. He actually came and I learned it from him, the ABCs. Oops, this one. So it's a model that helps explain the interaction between our thoughts and our emotions. So it's going to bring the emotive and the thinking and merge them together. Looks simple, but this is the one. It's fairly complex. And so it's positive reframing. My wife struggles with depression. This is the one that worked best for her on top of the medication, which is also important if needed. But this is the one that I live my life by. So A is the activating event, something that happens. B is our belief, our interpretation regarding that activating event. So from that belief then come consequences, be they positive or negative, could be either way. If the consequence tends to be negative, we recommend then you D, your dispute, a disputation of belief. Challenge your belief to create a new positive consequence. Look at your belief. So beliefs change as we learn. So you may have believed something one day, they thought the world was flat, right? I've been there, Lagos, Portugal. I've looked out there. I could see where they would think that. And now they sailed and they didn't fall off. So our beliefs change with experiences. E, so you dispute and come up with more positive or more accurate belief, and the positive consequences will follow. And then we're going to put that into effect, that new belief, and see how that works for us. And then I stop at F, find out if it's working. Sometimes we need to revise it one step at a time. Same with that stop sign in the options. You're going to choose the most obvious one, and that's great. And it's going to work for a while, but then it might not work long term. And the reason for that is my next slide. This is I call it the onion model. So right in the center of that onion is the core. Around it is layers. Those are our defenses. It keeps us safe. You can't go, well, people do. And I've watched it happen. When managed care came, they wanted us to come up with a diagnosis right away. And in our intakes, we had people unraveling right in front of us because we went straight to the core so they could get insurance coverage. It was horrible we learned the hard way because we're asking all the hard questions and they're going right to the core and they're falling apart. You need to take one layer at a time while you're working on adjusting and your coping skills and dealing with if it's trauma that's going on so that you feel safe enough to go to the next layer before you get to the core. So time heals with patience and persistence. but take it one step at a time. Okay. So with the ABCs, that's very true with our beliefs. The belief changes with more information. And then we just need to be careful also then balance it with the coping skills, especially 9 coping skills. So that's what I would use for that. All right. So activating event. One of our Hawaii Meals on Wheels clients took forever to answer the door. I would start yelling in the window as we're going along. We'd be calling the phone. We'd knock on the door. It'd take her at least 15 minutes before she'd answer. We thought maybe she was hard of hearing. She was always decked out with covered from head to toe with stuff, and then we thought she was just reclusive. So and she was kind of everyone thought she was just a difficult client because it would take so long to deliver her meal. So one day my wife knocked on the door and it swung open, and she was laying on the floor having a heart attack. And we quick called 911. And like I said, I was a corpsman, so we saved her life. From that day on, she was waiting for us to talk story. Turns out she was a famous hula dancer, and her Tahitian, she's credited with popularizing hula around the world. Her Tahitian gown had caught fire. So I'm going to share her story and her name, and I'm going to show you some pictures. So her Tahitian gown caught fire and burned 80% of her body, and she fought through it, and she became a third grade teacher. And what she would tell me every time she would see me is it was the best thing that ever happened because she loved those kids. So her name was Loma Duke, and Loma Duke found her scrapbook and used to share it with us. I asked if I could take pictures with it. We've used this for fundraisers with Meals on Wheels. She's got to be 100 years old now. I don't know that she's even alive. She ended up not being able to be in her place, and so she moved into living. But she turned into like our favorite to this day. So what I say is everyone has a past, present, and future. Careful not to judge what you see without knowing, right? So these folks are looking in the mirror at their past. We do the same thing. Um, I always say I'm 18, unless I'm at a bar, then I'm 21. I'm turning 69 in May. That's me on the top right, setting a state record in North Dakota, Leanne, running track. I was 440, we call it then, so the 400 meters. And this is the sprint medley relay. We still hold the state record in North Dakota because they stopped running the race. If I do that now, I'd have a heart attack. To care for those, you know this well, who once cared for us is one of the highest honors in life. Wrinkles mean you laughed, gray hair means you cared, and scars mean you lived. I'm sure you've seen these, but just so real, right? What we do. Um, Challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. And then I wrote this one the other day. Forgiveness is the wisdom of love. Leanne, that's North Dakota too. That's fall in North Dakota. So I grew up in North Dakota. Um, Live, laugh, love, you got this. So Mayor Blangiardi and I call each other doppelgangers. I keep thinking I'm him. The other day, right here, he asked me how that's working for me. He says, "You're pretty damn good looking." I said, "Oh, you are too." He said, "How's that working for you?" I said, "Well, as long as you keep doing well, it's great." And then we crack up here. Laughter is everything, guys. So Charlie Brown says to Linus, "Do you ever think much about the future, Linus?" All the time. What do you want? What do you think you want to be when you grow up? Outrageously happy. Okay. So a dream written down with it becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action becomes reality. So I always say dreams do happen. I'm living many of my dreams.
Mm.
I've realized dream after dream. This is the end here. When you can't go back and change the beginning, so you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Be the author of your story.
Mm.
Okay. And then that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you so much. Each slide was like a pearl of wisdom in a whole necklace of PowerPoint slides and presentation. Before I forget, I want to ask you a question from the chat, and it's
Okay.
about the feeling chart with all the faces.
Right.
Is there somewhere that we can get that?
I'll send you I'll send you the slides. I'll send if you send me a Google Doc, I'll send you the whole slideshow that you can share with folks. But yes, you could just Google a feeling chart. All kinds of them will come up. Um, the one that I put in there, it very much, I don't know if maybe my algorithm has it, but it's what I had in my office in Seattle before we had these laptops. So I had a huge poster with that. And then we actually on a Xerox machine found a way to shrink it that then I end up using and cutting up. And what I would do when I played the Feeling Charades game with it, I'd give a copy of it to everybody. Then the people would act and it made the game go a little faster, a little bit cheating. But I would do family sessions, and kids of all ages would be acting out feelings. And a parent would say, "Will you stop it, Johnny?" And I said, "Oh no." Let me guess. Bored? Yes. Right? I mean, yeah. So I'll send you the PowerPoint though if you send me a Google Doc. This one's not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's most valuable. I kept feeling, okay, we have this whole toolbox, and I mean, it's almost too much to do it, to use
Yeah.
all of them, but maybe today I'll try this tool. And
Yeah.
then, and I like what you said about, well, we'll see how it works. And, oh, maybe another day I'll use this tool, or moment by moment. Yeah.
Well, and again, I would say you're already using all these tools. These are
Mm.
just common sense. We've just put them in a structure, to try to help remind us because it's hard when you're feeling, tense. You don't think, and you don't think what ones you use. And so so Helen Wagner has joined us. So you did all the grandparent stuff, Helen. I know the earlier you teach the kids this, the better. So that emotional intelligence starts very early. But you can treat all of us old folks, we can learn too. So that's why.
Yes, and we're learning every day. So we are past the hour, and I want to be considerate of your time. If you want to if people want to get in touch with you, Rick, can we relay your contact information
You can give my
separately?
email address out. You can give
Yes.
my email out, no
Okay.
problem. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And then we will be posting slides, also the
All the
relaxation
video.
video. That's very helpful. If you have any questions for Rick or for Gary at the Caregiver Foundation, uh, please contact the Caregiver Foundation. So let's see, I do want to remind you that our caregiver support group will be the third Tuesday of the month of May. And I'm sorry, I didn't look that up ahead of time, but uh, we'll have another relevant topic for caregivers. And if you have any needs in during the month ahead, please feel to contact Gary at the Caregiver Foundation. So thank you all very much for your time today. Again, as Rick said, you're doing everything. You're doing this world a heap of healing in your caregiver relationships. So thank you to Rick. Thank you to all for being here today. Please take care.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thank you. Bye.